So, I am so sorry. Super bad mood. Don't overturn furniture. Good morning, Kira. Good to see you. I'm working on Warmest Welcome right now. Good morning, Linda B. from New Jersey. Good to see you. Hey, Mom. I gotta come see you, Mom. I got all your punch stuff ready for you. Good morning, Sheila from Benton City, Washington. Good morning, Cynthia. See, I feel better already. From Texas. Cool, sunny, and windy here. Good morning. Let's see, Linda H. Joelle, good to see you again. We had such a nice chat yesterday. I could actually put that one up because nothing bad happened. Good morning, Chrissy. I haven't seen you for a while. Linda B. It's chilly. Oh, Kira. All right, and then it's me being crazy. I am so sorry about that. Good morning, Karen. There's more. Linda B, Linda H, Sharon, good morning, thank you. Lisa, good morning. Betty, good morning. All right, April, good morning. Here we are. There we go. I got this. So, is it just me? Does everybody else just roll with the changes with programs and buttons and computers and tabs? And it must just be me. There must be something so wrong with me that I am not able to figure stuff out instinctively. It's a real thing. So good morning. I have a good show for you today. I'm glad I did not abort mission because I was right there on the brink of insanity. I found a couple things in the mail and I wanted to share those with you. We haven't done mailbag stuff for a while, and then I'm going to return to that great book, Barely Hooked, and we're going to finish up that segment too. But I found a couple things that I thought were interesting. Now let me know if you already found this because I have never seen this before. During the holidays, I went to one of the Barnes & Nobles that is still open here. Oh, thanks, Kira. Thanks. They've closed like all the borders down, right? That used to be so nice to just sit in there and rot and look at books. But Barnes & Noble is still there in some places. And I went to one, and you know how many magazines they've got there. And I found one. Thanks, Linda. I found one I hadn't seen before, but I bet that you've seen it because it just celebrated, I think it's either 5 or 10-year anniversary. I think it's 5-year anniversary. It's called A Needle Pulling Thread. So now this isn't exactly up our street because we are not needle pullers in rug hooking. We are hook pullers. We are needle punchers, but this isn't a punch magazine. So I started to research this magazine a little bit because this is the current issue. And it had some interest. I think I actually got this in my stocking, right, Santa? But I looked it up on Amazon this morning and I looked it up on eBay to see where the back issues were. Now this magazine says that it contains quilt, sew, knit, crochet, cross stitch, embroider, and hook rugs as opposed to hooked rugs. And I can say in this issue there is only one page that shows a hooked rug, and it's by Karen Miller, who we see a lot lately. Her new book is out. She's also in Rug Hooking Magazine. I'm going to look at that one next. This is the only feature on hooked rugs in this month's Needle Pulling Thread. Very cute name, too. But what I liked about this magazine, and I have to say, it looked like from past issues that it's only been in the last few years that they've been including the tag hook rug. And before then, not so much, because, of course, again, not a needle craft or art. So that's something new. But this issue came to me in the stocking, and it has a theme. And I don't know, maybe you do, I don't know whether they always have a theme going with this magazine. I do like a theme. And the theme of this one is architecture. And it really struck me as being interesting. You can see there's a real juxtaposition here between the old and the new. I'm not sure what this pyramid is. It reminded me of the pyramids in Paris, you know, the glass ones outside the Louvre. But then we've got a house here that looks more like a Dutch brick house, like an old style townhouse. So neat. And I just wanted to say this magazine is full of interesting inspiration. Just the one feature on hooked rugs, but a lot of stuff on quilting, a lot of stuff on cross-stitch, designy stuff, this kind of business here. This is the table of contents page. Knitters, you might like this too. You know, it's available for subscription. It looked real cute. The house quilts, everything is architecture related in this issue, so it's all, you know, it's going to fall into a lot of our sweet spots. But they had a lot on interesting architecture all over the world that I thought was fairly inspiring, right? Things to think about, from a mosaic floor to an ultra-modern building. A lot of things like this barn door idea converted into a little quilt for the wall. Interesting, right? But what I really liked, let me see if I can forward a little bit. what I really liked, the cover thing is amazing. It seems like they were quilting on that material that you use to make an ironing board cover. I've done that before with stuffed toys for Teddy when he wants something that's metallic silver. I use that material and it's so well. This kind of thing crosses over with a lot of the things that we talk about, the sort of Moroccan style, which hand is it? This hand. Steps, the tiles converted into quilt blocks and easily converted also into hook rug designs, maybe not one, but you could do 9, you could do 16, you could do sort of a great configuration of many. And of course, this is an old favorite for people who love quilting and hooking. I love the classic Joan Moshimer house design, right? I know you've seen it. Claire Murray did a lot with houses too. You need to find right? You know, Linda, they're online too, but I know it's good to find a Barnes & Noble because it's nice to have somebody offer, you know, coffee and a chair. And I know maybe now's not the right time, but I still go, and they have the lotion all over the place, so you can be super careful when you do. But this whole thing of architecture really got me going, and it really got me thinking. It is a Canadian magazine, right, Betty? Because I noticed on some of the earlier eBay issues that it said Canadian something, inspiration or something, but it was clear that it was from Canada. They have an article in each art, on each art in each magazine, so like one of each. I see. It's neat. It's really different. And is it pretty themey, Betty? Is it usually like this month is architecture, another month would be something else kind of a thing? Look at this brick wall design, right? You've seen this. You've definitely seen this in hooking. We've seen this in early patterns too. We've seen this in borders. We've seen this every time we talk about geometric rugs from the 19th century. We always get that brick pattern. That was done with a black outline, like a stained glass outline, which gives it extra punch. But what this magazine got me going about, when you see things like this, the kind of very graphic stained glass squares, it got me thinking, and I just want to plant the seed in your head in case it gets you thinking too. Very abstract. It got me thinking about this artist that I saw years ago in a gallery, and what she did was this is real personalization and customization, and this links to the book idea that I have not forgotten, and I'm still working on doing a book, and I know a lot of you are working on projects for it. Showing something about ourselves, where we're from, a real personal themed quilt. And what this artist did, rug, not quilts. What this artist did was everything that you could see on the walls of this exhibit was like shapes, abstract shapes. And it looked a bit like Mondrian, or it looked like any of the artists that we always talk about, the fine artists, very shape driven, right? I say that all the time. But it really was different. There was lines and there was blocks. And it took me forever to realize that every painting was an image of a neighborhood from an aerial point of view. So in other words, she was a painter, and there were big thick stripes that indicated roads, and then there would be a square which indicated like her house or her neighbor's house or her friend's house, and then there would be rotaries or roundabouts with crossroads coming out, and it looked like the spoke of a wagon wheel. But it was so interesting, and it made me think, if you were interested in doing something like that, a design for rug hooking, what you could do, one good use of the computer and the internet and technology, one good use would be to go on Google Maps, right, and look at that cartoon version of your immediate neighborhood, or where you were born, or where you grew up, or your favorite vacation main street or something like that, some village you love, and do the Google image of it. And then you could just pull off all the lines for that in the important buildings for you, and make it into a really great abstract hook rug. I mean, wouldn't that be such a simple and fun beginner thing to do? You could even do it freehand with a black Sharpie on your backing. Sketch it out first and just make sure you know where you're going with it, because you'll know it'll be abstract and you can fill in any colors you want, but you'll know what it all means. I just thought that was such a neat idea. When I saw that, it was years ago that I saw that, and it really stuck with me. But when I saw this magazine being about architecture, it made me think of it again as a great go-to, easy thing to do. Even if you just have a little scrap of backing, you could do something like that. And it would be such a special, kind of mysterious thing, kind of a map to something that only you really know what it means, right? Excellent magazine. So Betty says, not sure. They have past issues with rug hooking. Great. It looks like a great magazine. It's a lot of fun. If you're a crossover knitter, quilter, you're going to love this magazine. Good, Kira. I'm going to try that too. I'm going to do the street where I grew up in Barrington, Rhode Island, which is always where my heart always is, with the water right next to the street and this big old street called Wampanoag Trail. Obviously once an Indian path, but beautiful, beautiful memories and a beautiful area. So yeah, so check this out if you like it. This is the only reason I show this house. It's done in quilting. It's because it's the log cabin. And I'm struggling with that log cabin. I'm getting there. I'm almost getting to the point where I can show you again. So a needle pulling thread. That was a fun find at Barnes & Noble, and you can find it in other places too. Lots of ideas. When you have a magazine like this that is so artsy, it sparks a lot of ideas, doesn't it? It gives you lots to think about. If you're between projects, or if you just need another project to tack on the end of your long project list. And you know, I also didn't realize that Rug Hooking magazine had come. So I looked at that last night too. It must be one of the shortest issues ever. But I went through it a little bit. And you know what's crazy is the last times that I've been to Claire Murray, because you know I go to Cape Cod a lot, the stores were not selling her kits anymore, and it had been a long time since they had sold her kits. But guess what is on page 1? Claire Murray is selling kits again. So interesting. Hey, Tad. Tad, you just missed a part about abstraction and architecture, which is so you. You'll have to rewind and look at it later because it's very you. I was thinking of you a couple times when my mouth was running. But I'm happy to see that Claire Murray is doing kits again because I love her kits, and I always have. And yeah, I mean, it's been a while, so good for her. She's still got stuff open. She's still very heavy into the home goods side of the business, but I still think of her as such, not just a pioneer in rug hooking, but such a great businesswoman too. And, you know, for me being in business, it's a great model to base myself on. She made really good choices as she went along. She was a nice person too, so balancing those two things is always important and tricky. So one of my favorite articles from this magazine, this issue of Rug Hooking, which is January, February 2021, is also by and about Karen Miller. So you know her book is out. I forgot the name of it. I'll put a link to it on the thing. But we see her a lot in the Facebook groups. I follow her on Facebook. She does a lot of interesting things. And I want to show you just highlights of what this article is about because, again, this is a good crossover article and sort of thought if you like doing mixed media stuff or you like crossing over different disciplines. This is a crossover between rug hooking and painting. And she says mostly acrylics and watercolors. But it's a whole article about it by Karen Miller. This is what she does. Let me get you a non-glary image. There we go. How's that? A bit better. A little glare. It is a magazine. So if you can see from that, it's an image where she's done some hooking. It looks like hooking with yarn. And she's done some painting directly on the bare part of the backing. So it looks like she's using linen. Sorry, guys. There we go. That's better. So you can see the whole blue background, that there is some hooking involved. But you can see that the blue part is paint. The backing has been painted. So this is truly something different. This is something you don't see often. We talk a lot on the online Facebook groups about Eyes Open to the World. Thank you, Betty. Thank you. Eyes Open to the World. Beautiful book. It's the one with her standing on the cover and she's facing away. She's facing away from you, like at winter coat. Really striking image. And her website is great too. Her Facebook thing is great. But, you know, people ask a lot on the Facebook pages about painting, for example, hooking and then painting over some of your loops. And that's something that she does here too. For example, in this example, she has hooked the background and she's pulled through some long sort of tufty threads, right, to make a real three-dimensional quality. The whole background is hooked in a black. And then she's painted over it. So the colors that you're seeing, this is paint. This is going to be acrylic paint. So that's quite different. There are three things going on. She's got a sort of high pile tufting, she's got hooking, and she's got painting. Two of my rugs in it. Betty, do you have two rugs in this issue? Oh, or an Eyes Wide. In the Karen Miller book, do you have two in there? Because if they're in here, I want to show them right now. I got to get the Karen Miller book. I want to show you what you have, Betty. But I thought this was so different. I'm going to show you a couple more of these. Different, you know, why not? This is another one that's like, again, a lot of, I'm struggling with the light. sort of almost looks like French knots or candle wicking, but you can see that the background is not hooked. It is painted, right? Different. So, it's so interesting. It's so important to look at what people are doing, because it might be something that you would like to cross over to too. It's nice to know what the possibilities are. Of course, the possibilities are endless, but beyond that, it's nice to know what new techniques you might dabble in. And along those lines, this is one of my favorite articles in the same issue of Raw Cooking Magazine, the current one. This is one of my favorite articles that I've ever read in any magazine. I don't know if you get Rug Cooking Magazine, but this article is called Appropriating Appropriately. In Karen's book, Betty, I'm going to get it so I can show your rugs on here. I'm going to get it. I'll figure out where it is this afternoon. Appropriating Appropriately. Now, I'm very happy that in my group we take it easy on each other. I like the tone that everybody utilizes. Everybody is very decent and kind and gentle. But I do see often, not just in rug cooking groups, but in other sort of social art groups, people really hammering down on other people about copyright. I'm not going to talk about copyright at length because I've already done that a few times. But this article is called Appropriating Appropriately. And I love this article. The writer is Maddie Fraioli, and she's referencing this book by Austin Kleon, Kleon. It's a New York Times best-selling book. Came out quite a few years ago, I think. But the book is called Steal Like an Artist, right? Now, I'm just going to relay parts of this article because I think it's important. What this article is about is the difference between violating a copyright and being inspired by something. They are two very different things. I'm looking terribly blue, aren't I? They are two very different things. So one of these quotes I really like, David Bowie, "The only art I ever study is stuff I can steal from." It's quite funny, isn't it? There is so much crossover and cross-pollination in all art forms, including rug cooking, maybe especially rug cooking, because we're working with our hands in a craft fashion, but we're also looking at images constantly and doing a lot of designing. In this article, she talks about how the difference between being inspired by an image, something that you see. Oh, April, you know this book. Yeah, Kira's saying, looking at other groups, people sometimes get on each other, like Bee in the Bonnet style, and start writing another person about copyright or something is too similar to something. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I don't care who wants to react to it. I do know a lot about copyright. And part of it, the reason is because my sister works at Yale, and that's part of what she looks at and talks about constantly. So I bounce a lot of things off of her. As soon as you deviate from an image, you are, in most cases, off copyright. When you make something your own, whether it's changing an element of the design, in addition to colors, when you choose the part of the motif that you like in an image that you see, and you make your own twist on it, you have an original piece. And that's what this article is about, and that's what this book is about. And there are a lot of people, particularly in rug cooking, who will tell you, too close, you're violating copyright, and it's just not true. It's not true. Everybody is inspired by other things. At this point in 2021, there are not a lot of original ideas. Whether you're a writer or a painter or a rug cooker, there's not a lot of original ideas. I've said it before, if you're doing a basket of flowers primitive style, there are a lot of basket of flowers primitive style. Yours are going to be different, right? It's still a basket of flowers primitive style, but yours will be different. And here are some good examples. So she's giving examples, the author, Maddie, of rugs that are hooked, in most cases by Karen Colley, and then she's showing her own version that she hooked. And she's showing that they're quite similar. But, for example, this one, come on, focus. How's that? This one is, now I can't pull it away to see. This one is Karen's original, and this one is Maddie's. And you can see there's a similar motif going on. There's either flowers or stems with buds in every compartment of the center. But you can see many of them are flipped. They are all stylized, and they are all different. The colors are the same. She said, Maddie says she likes to borrow some of the same colors. Same with the one below it. Karen's and Maddie's, right? She's doing a square that is in the same vein, has a similar color theme, but she's drawn her own flower. Same thing down here, Karen's is the darker one, and this one's Maddie's. So in other words, if you see something that you like and you want to draw something similar, you shouldn't freak out about it. Draw it your way. Choose the elements that you like. For example, with her roosters here, she likes this image, like this poster rooster, maybe children's book illustration. She also likes ceramic art, so she did it as a piece of ceramic work. And in the case of this rooster, she liked this image, and she did it as a hooked chair pad. So she's saying the point is pick the elements that you like out, draw it your way, and then you don't have copyright issues. It is now your drawing. You are inspired by a basket of flowers. You are inspired by a painting of roosters. You are inspired by a sculpture of roosters. And once you do it your way, even if it has similarities and it bears a resemblance to the original, it is still yours. Here's another great quote. And again, this sounds awful. It sounds like I'm encouraging you to the equivalent of plagiarize, which I'm not. I just want you to understand that the impression that you sometimes get in groups, social media groups, particularly Facebook, and some of the blog sites too, is that you can't do anything. You got to pay somebody. You got to get on some kind of a prayer rug and thank them and build a shrine to them for giving you a pattern idea. When Pablo Picasso said, "Art is theft." It is. You're inspired by other people's ideas, as you should be, because you're a creative person. You wouldn't be doing this if you weren't a creative person. So don't be too freaked out about all that hullabaloo, because at the end of the day, this is all the work of someone else, right? This is maybe Karen again. Let's see. I can't even see with my glasses, number 4s. And down here is what Maddie made. So she used the same shapes of the same buildings, and she turned it into a village rug for herself that she loves. So she's also citing this book, which is one of my favorite books. I'll do a show on that at some point. That's Rug Hooking Motifs by Ramona Can. I love that book. But I love this article because I think it's very liberating and sensible to talk about how you can instead of how you can't, and how you shouldn't and how you shouldn't have. Talk about what you can do. There's a lot of things you can do. And let's finish up this great book. I know it's a little bit late. I'm going to run over because I was fooling around with the different windows. Hopefully I didn't say any bad words while I was struggling with windows. Super frustration. So we're looking at the Barely Hooked. Let's finish up our chapter here. We were talking about nudes and rug hooking and how they are treated properly and rightfully as fine art, as they should be. And we left off with, we're not doing all of the artists. We're not doing most of the artists. I was just looking at a few of my favorites. This one by Sharon Townsend of Altoona, Iowa. This one's really pretty. She says, her special quote that she put in was, "It is all about the wool, the feel in my fingers, the charge it sparks in my imagination to bring forth a piece that either remembers the past or hopes for the future." Isn't that so, so good? So Sharon's piece that I pulled was this one, which is, again, it really has the feel of a PG-13, just reminding you, if you haven't seen the last 2 episodes, of a Matisse again. So it's like a very graphic nude reclining. You see that the lines, again, we're seeing that very shapy sort of palmetto type leaf in the background. You're seeing a scattering of clovers on the ground, maybe for luck. They've also, the background, it's inset in a close-up, right? So the background that I'm touching, that's not part of the rug. It's just a central thing that's part of the rug. You see the beautiful red and orange graphic in the background going vertically, and then you see the grid work. Now we saw something similar to this by a different artist that was also very Matisse inspired on Tuesday, right, in our last episode. Really neat. I love the way the skirt line is drawing you away from the waist and dropping down with gravity. I think it's a really interesting design and interesting shape. And again, it's always interesting to see what colors people use for their outlining, where they choose to outline and where they leave it alone. I always find that remarkably interesting, because that's really one of the signature things about each artist to artist. Now, I'm going to speed up a little bit. This next one I'm going to show you is by Sue Kowalski from South Bennington, Vermont. And she wrote, "Color, color. I find it easier to achieve the rich, vibrant color I love in wool rather than paint. I feel I am heading toward abstraction in my designs. Who knows where it will lead?" Indeed, right? Amen to that. So let's see the one Again, I don't know, maybe I'm Matisse obsessed, but I just love these sort of expressionist, Fauvist type modern lines in rug hooking. I mean, isn't that gorgeous? You're getting a very sort of classic Victorian wallpaper design that's oversized in the background, and in the foreground you get this amazing figure. Look at the way the hair sits kind of stacked on the side of the head. Look at the lines and the muscle in the leg moving forward, right? Laying over this rug. And again, the use of pattern over pattern, the red patterned rug over the striped floor rug or couch. Really interesting. And then there's that suggestive bowl of fruit, sort of little compote over on the side. Really, really different. Look at the way that the yellow colors in the background, they don't relate to anything that's in, the figure part, the central part of the motif, but they really pop it. There's one little fruit that's the yellow color and the tomato color up in the wall color too. But it's remarkable that using this many colors, just primary colors, not much else, truly, exactly, Linda, truly painting with wool. No, Heather, the background on the last one wasn't. For each rug in this book, if it's a smaller rug, Ray Harrel, let me get her name right. Ray Harrel goes by, she puts it in a set and blows up like one of the motifs within it, like a patterned motif, and sets it in just for more interest. But yeah, no, the background was part of the actual rug, and she just blew it up as like a plate behind it. So let's see, let's get through this. The next one is Kathleen Vanilla, also in South Burlington, Vermont, which is where Ray is from too. I think that's why there's a cluster of friends here. And she writes, creating art is an adventure in finding my voice, though, like life, it's a journey, not a destination. So that's always a nice sentiment. That's sort of that John Lennon sentiment that, what did he say? Help me out. The traveling is the something, help me out. Tad, do you know? I bet you know. It'll come to me as soon as I end the stream. Same sentiment. It's going to drive me crazy now. So this is Kathleen's. It's called Cafe on Couch. I love this one. She looks quite young in her picture. And this is a very modest pose. It has, it doesn't look like the Madeline books to me. The Madeline books, the children's series by, what was his name? I'm not good with names today. That whole thing at the beginning rattled me. But it has that kind of long-haired, big eye feel to it. Really, really sweet. Look at the way that this couch is articulated. There's shadow on it. The couch cushion is really popping over on her side, and then the two stripy cushions, even the sort of over the tacking, that piece of ribbon or whatever they call it that would go over the tacks is like that nice mustardy yellow that brings in the frame. I don't want to move it too much, but the frame here, matching this, really good planning. Even the shadow under the neck and along the leg, unexpected, right? But what a pretty face, what a pretty figure. I just love the patterning in the couch too. It's so different. That's I think my favorite one. I really love that one. So, and then let's look at Diane Phillips. She says, I chose the title altogether for its double meaning. The first is obvious. The second refers to the elements I think this is a typo, of art that I love to incorporate into my work. Unexpected color, playful scale and perspective, subtle humor, mixes of representational style with fantasy, kooky combinations of modern hand-dyed wool with traditional as-found textures. So she likes to pull from everywhere, and she likes to hook with everything. So this is Diane's piece. Again, gorgeous. Huge amount of color. And this is not the piece, the blown up one. This one is the piece. The other one is, again, like another blow up. But again, lot of patterning. Patterning is really, when you have a nude, bit unexpected in rug hooking, it really is the central figure. So it makes a lot of sense to do patterning around it. Nice choice of patterning, the sort of diamond square geometric on the wall that complements the part of the fabric that she's sitting on, that switches to a straight vertical that brings your eye down and out of the picture at the bottom. I love the glasses. It looks just like you would expect that she would look. I feel like if I saw her on the street, clothes or not, that I would recognize her because there's so much expression in this piece. I love it too. Yeah, it's so pretty. It really is. It's a great book for a lot of reasons. And then the last one I wanted to look at together is Nancy Lee Ross in Heinsberg, Vermont. Oh, this one might be my favorite. I love this one. I am thankful that I had a father who taught me that by opening my eyes, I would see all the beauty in the world. Translating those visions into art is most satisfying. This is her piece, and it's called Oh My. I just love this piece. I always have a lot of favorites. This one, I love the way the figure is sitting, not quite sitting, on the piece. Let me back up a bit. So she's in this beautiful patchy armchair. Look at all the patterning on this armchair. Look at the floor, right? Very traditional. It almost looks like a painted floor or a floor cloth. And then her figure sitting there with no regard for perspective or proportion. It is so folky. It is folk perfection to me. I love the sort of funniness of the large necklace and the glasses and otherwise nude. It is so shapy. It has that Picasso shapiness to it. I think it is, right, Kira, exactly, gorgeous. And then the black background, that sort of antique background. It's not quite black, it's black and blue. I just think this one is extraordinary. Look at the flowers, look at she's put a lot of effort into the patterning on the chair, and that really makes the figure stand out. And using that checkerboard bottom anchors it, doesn't it? Because you've got like the dark top that you don't notice. You've got the figure, which of course you notice. The chair is like the, what do you want to call it? The understudy. But then the floor is anchoring it. Your eye goes right down the body into the floor and out again, which is what you want, your eye to travel through the piece. But I think that is exceptional. Everybody who did work in this book did exceptional work. Those are just my favorites that we've looked at. So this book is called Barely Hooked. I put a link to it. I'll do it again. If you Google, I'll put the link if I can remember to. My brain isn't working. Barely Hooked, Ray Reynolds Harrel. It came out, it's from Heinsberg, Vermont, where she is. It came out in 2013, and it comes with a DVD at the back about the making of it. But the website is wonderful too, and the website shows at least part of the video, if not all of the video. All of the artists in here are masters and really different subject. And I think it's just so neat to talk about the nude in rug hooking, because we certainly talk about the nude in painting and in sculpture. And why shouldn't we talk about the nude in rug hooking? Because it's perfectly viable, and it's a beautiful project to hook a nude. Or to hook your old neighborhood from Google Maps. So I hope this was a good episode. I'm sorry if I started out on the wrong foot. I can be super naughty, and I hope I wasn't when we started this feed. Whew, technology. But hey, tomorrow night is cocktail night. Tad says simplicity of the figure against the busyness of the chair is wonderful. It really is. Contrast is wonderful, isn't it? I mean, when you have to have such an eye to do something like that. That patterning on the chair was so over the top. I can't imagine the chair even exists. But then the contrast of the checkered floor, even under the patterning of the chair, perfect. I mean, it's just perfect. I wouldn't want to see anything else at the bottom of that piece. It was just a gorgeous piece. This whole book is filled with lovely pieces. So I haven't gotten in any more trouble for posting nudes and rug hooking. I think there is some educational value here, I hope. Have a great day. I will be with you tomorrow for cocktail night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And thank you, Cynthia. And I will have my jazz together, etc., etc. So until then, have a great day. Have a great day tomorrow. I know what I'm doing tomorrow night, but I'm going to save it as like a bit of a surprise thing. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of fun tomorrow for cocktail night. Get your drinks ready, and I will see you at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.